Half a day, everyone. My name is Leanne, and today I will be presenting to you Dr. Michele Borba's 6 R's to Prevent Bullying. Here is an overview of my presentation. First, I will introduce Dr. Michele Borba. Then I will go over the ABCs of a good program. Then I will go over the 4 staff keys of bully proofing. And then I will talk about overlooked insights before going into the 6 R's. And then finally, our conclusion. So this is Dr. Michele Borba. She is a former classroom teacher, and now she is an educational psychologist for children and teenagers. She mainly focuses on behavioral issues, and she is also an advocate for anti-bullying. Now, before I go into the ABCs of a good program, Dr. Borba was given reviews of 600 bullying prevention programs and only a quarter of them worked. This means that out of these 600 bullying prevention programs, only 150 of them were successful. And out of these 150 successful bullying prevention programs, she was able to identify the ABCs of a good program: attitude, behavior, and character. The attitude of a good program tells kids, staff, and the world that aggression isn't the way to get your answers. And next is behavior. Behavioral habits at the age of 8 become trends, so a good program will show their students the difference between unacceptable and acceptable behaviors. And lastly, character. The classroom, school, and campus is a respectful learning environment that is made by the character of the kids and the staff at the school. Now I will go over 4 staff keys to bully proofing. First, you must have active adult involvement that is warm with positive interest. Second, you must have firm limits to unacceptable behavior. Third, you must have consistent, non-hostile, fair discipline. This means you cannot use zero tolerance. Studies have shown that zero tolerance is actually the least effective way to discipline your kids. And lastly, you must have strong adults who are firm and fair models for the students. Now I will talk about the overlooked insights. So first, everyone must be involved. This means that all parents, staff, the bully, bystanders, or the witnesses, and the victim must be involved. However, prior to the involvement of the victim and their parents, you must ensure safety protocol for both parties and the staff as well. And next, you have to use evidence-based data gathering. This includes surveys in which you do the numbers and you calculate the percents and the probabilities of where they're most likely to be bullied or how they feel when they are being bullied. Have them fill out a questionnaire and then have someone go over the data and quantify it so that everyone is able to look at it and look at the evidence as a staff and as a community so we can tackle the problem together. And next, bullying by nature is a social problem. So look into the behaviors of your students and try to find if someone is being bullied or if someone is victimizing someone else. And finally, identify your hot times and your hot spots through anonymous polls so that everyone's privacy is protected. Your hot times would be the times in which areas are more crowded, and your hot spots are the spots that are the most crowded. Ask direct, hard-hitting questions on your polls such as, I feel the most unsafe in, and then have them check out or write which places that they are most unsafe. So examples of the most unsafe places or hot spots and hot times would be the bathroom, the cafeteria, the hallway, lockers, stairwells, and even the playgrounds. Some strategies schools can use to implement safety in these hot times and hot spots could be to assign staff at these specific hotspots during times in which it is most crowded. One principal actually made a cutout of herself saying, "You never know if I'm going to come by. I'm always watching you." And bullying was cut down immensely. So you could use various techniques, strategies to monitor these specific places. And now here are Dr. Borba's 6 R's to prevent bullying. The 6 R's are roles, recognize, report, respond, refuse, and replace. Now let's go over the 6 R's. The first one is rules. So for rules, you must develop an anti-bullying policy that fits your school values, focuses on prevention, features strong parental involvement, builds a respectful climate, and gets everyone on board. And so we must set clear rules, such as we are nice and empathic, and we will promote a safe learning environment for ourselves and for our classmates. Second, we must set expectations to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Third, set consequences. Have established tiered consequences for bullying that considers the student's age, maturity, intent, and frequency. And emphasize positive discipline approaches. Again, don't use zero tolerance because that is not effective, according to Dr. Borba. And lastly, evaluate progress and adjust accordingly. As a teacher, you have to ask yourself, are the rules in your classroom management, and clear discipline ongoing in a respective learning environment? Dr. Borba shared 3 rules that will help with preventing bullying in the classroom. The first one is, listen and respect everybody's ideas. Second, think about the feelings of others. Third, say only nice things. It is important for everyone to know the rules. So, one way is to have ongoing assemblies in which you constantly review the rules. The next one is to have democratic class meetings. Democratic is the most effective because students are able to participate in the discussion, give their input, and have a voice that is heard. And so the impact is much more powerful in which everyone is more involved. The next one is to have interactive video discussions. Videos alone are powerless unless students are able to comprehend and understand what they take from it. And so interactive video discussions is an important way for students to talk and discuss amongst themselves and their peers and their teachers. What did we take from this and how can we prevent bullying in our school, in our class, and in our community? And finally, we must have ongoing parents' education. So parents must know the signs if their child is a bully or if their child is being victimized by a bully, how they're able to turn it around, and how we are able to communicate as parents with the staff of the school and to ensure our children's safety. And now moving on to the second R, which stands for recognize. It is important to teach how to identify bullying. So the first one, what we have to identify is what bullying is and what it isn't. We have to recognize indicators. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? And then finally, we must train everyone to be on the same page. We have to develop one PowerPoint so that all teachers teach the same bullying lesson, or at least all teachers must teach the same concept of what bullying is in a lesson. We must educate parents through conferences, book clubs, email blasts, and newsletters, etc. And then students can create videos, pictures, public service announcements, and posters about bullying to share and display throughout the school. And we can also display books about bullying in our libraries and in our classrooms. The next one is report. We must create procedures to report bullying. The first one is to create forms for staff, students, and parents to report incidents. These forms must include the names of the victim and the bully, and we must also boost the safety of the student, regardless if they are the bully or the victim. These reports will be the evidence of the bullying frequency and the location of which it happened. The next one is break the no snitch code and encourage reporting. We must teach the difference between snitching and reporting. Snitching means to get peers in trouble when they're not doing anything harmful, and reporting is to keep peers out of trouble because they may get hurt. The third one is to introduce reporting options. Options could be a 24-hour phone hotline, a website partnered with police, and report boxes, locked boxes placed in key locations, including on school buses, in which students are able to fill out the forms to report incidents. Kids need to be able to feel safe while they are reporting it, and they need to have a sense of belonging and feel cared for. And finally, listen. We must give students a voice, but we also must listen to them, because it is useless if we do not listen to what they are reporting to us as adults. The next R is respond. It is important to teach how to respond to bullying. So the first one, train adults how to intervene. Develop a climate where staff, students, and parents take responsibility for reducing bullying. Next, encourage instructors to teach positive discipline, conflict resolution, and social emotional learning. Next, teach students bystander strategies. So it is important that everyone needs to know how to respond and what to do. The next R is refuse. It is important to teach strategies to reduce victimization. Help victims learn how to refuse, because victims may commit suicide later or later on in life. Review reports to gather names of targeted students. Develop a confidential communication system to alert adults about vulnerable students. Provide I need help cards for nonverbal or shy students to present to an adult. Notify appropriate staff, psychological services, and parents. Develop a safety plan together so that you can provide support. Ongoing training is essential to help everyone identify and support potential victims. Create peer buddies, such as older students who can watch, protect, or help victims on the playground, bus, or cafeteria. And finally, counselors can provide emotional support, teach bully-proofing strategies, and offer ways to cognitively reframe events. Build adult relationships with victims so they are more likely to seek help. And finally, replace. Replace aggression with pro-social habits. Bullying is learned and can be unlearned. Help students using bullying behaviors to adopt pro-social habits and to believe that aggression is not appropriate. Do not label these students as bullies because it can perpetuate their behavior. Find adult mentors to serve as lifelines. Use multidisciplinary teams to create a student-specific intervention plan with healthier ways to relate and cope, and share with appropriate staff and, of course, their parents. Offer meaningful ways for students to do good and develop empathy. Use a restorative justice approach, not peer mediation, to boost positive school and peer connections. An example could include a situation where a student tripped someone else. Now they have to pick up that person that they tripped and ensure that they are okay. That is an example of restorative justice approach. Another example is if a student is upset or irritated and they throw all of another student's belongings onto the floor. Now they have to pick up their belongings carefully and carefully put them back, and they have to ensure the student is okay, and they also have to make sure that everyone else's belongings in the environment is okay. So if they threw their bag on a table, they have to straighten out the desk and make sure that everything is back and copacetic. Moving on to the pros. The pros with the 6 R's is that it prevents bullying, it creates a safer learning environment for our students, it reduces destructive behavior, and it includes improved self-esteem and relationships amongst our students and our staff. However, with pros, there are also cons. So if this is conducted incorrectly, it can make bullying worse for the victims. It is time-consuming, and you may have to work with others who don't communicate. And these people could be either the victim, the bully, their parents, or even your coworkers. And finally, here is the conclusion. The ABCs of a good program include attitude, behavior, and character. There are 4 staff keys to bully proofing: active adult involvement that is warm with positive interest, firm limits to unacceptable behavior, consistent, non-hostile, fair discipline. Strong adults who are firm and fair models. And there are 6 R's to prevent bullying, which include rules: recognize, report, respond, refuse, and replace. Here are my resources. And thank you for watching. If you have any questions, here's my email. Thank you and take care.